Have you heard or seen anything as you've been covering the team? And I get your updates in my timeline that I understand that you like to see other Michigan people. I get that. We're in an open relationship. I understand. Okay. So I know you've covered Michigan quite a bit with others over the last few weeks on your channel. Have you seen or heard anything that, and you know me, man, I'm from Missouri right now. You got to show me kind of thing, okay? You know, I'm one of those Michigan fans with their arms crossed that people are talking about. I'm just going to wait until I see what I see. I do think it's tough not to notice. I mean, Harbaugh even talked about injuries yesterday, dude. I'm like, at this point, we need to give him a urine test. He's talking injuries. He's volunteering information. He's jovial. He's likable. Says he's down to his playing weight. He's noticeably thinner. So short of that, I don't know what that means other than I think that shows you after last year on a personal level, he kind of made some renewed commitment to, did some form of introspection about where he and the program were, right? Which you should do when your boss cuts your pay by 50%. But have you seen or heard anything over the course of camp, covering the team, Mark, that for better or for worse changes your perspective or outlook on what you think we're going to see this fall?
Well, in just the way you set up the question, you lend it to exactly what we are limited to in covering these teams in college football during August versus what our counterparts in the NFL get to see. You go out to training camp every day. It's right there for you to see each and every day. Even the fans can go out there and watch and see who's progressing and who's not. It's a lot about sure, video comes out and the media is able to, depending on the team in question, able to go out there. Typically, I'll take some, for example, 30 minutes per week to usually see the guys just kind of throw the ball around a little bit and stretch, and that's about it. So we got to read a lot of this from the players and the coaches as well. I do find it fascinating what you alluded to just in terms of Jim Harbaugh. And sometimes in urgent and pressure situations, it comes to a point where you just maybe the pressure's off because he figures this is do or die right now. So the pressure's off. We're going to let it all roll, going to let it all hang out, and I'll give it my best. And if it doesn't work out, that's fine. I'll move on to the next job. And so maybe in a strange way, the pressure's off.
I kind of wonder about that too, right? The whole thing, the contract is out there. It's because he isn't a typical coach in that not just his own idiosyncrasies as a human that are well documented, but you are talking about a player that, I mean, we've seen great college players, you know, like Steve Spurrier won a Heisman at Florida and then, of course, led them to a national championship. You know, Jim was third in the Heisman Trophy, but keep in mind, he's the first Michigan quarterback that ever threw a touchdown pass in the NFL, that was ever a first-round pick in the NFL. You know, this is a guy, he was captain comeback in the NFL. So these kind of let it ride pressure situations, I almost wonder, is he more comfortable there than in let's have a really studious 3 to 4 year look at something? Because that's the world players live in, right? They played in the NFL, which stands for, as Jerry Glanville once famously said, not for long when you pull horse bleep like that, right? All right. So, I mean, these are, it's an industry where the average career is slightly less than 4 years, and that's if you don't get injured. So is this almost more of a native habitat for a guy like him than a typical coaching environment or ecosystem? Does that make any sense?
It does make sense, and I think he's also been pretty open about the important people in his life and the people that he respects and trusts, and him leaning on them a little bit more during this offseason to gain some, his brother being one example. And so maybe they've gotten a hold of him, gotten him down to a conversation to basically say, you know, let's go back to who you are. Who are you? Forget the outside noise. Forget all that. Just be who you are. And if it works out, that'll be amazing. If it doesn't, hey, you gave it your best shot. You've been successful elsewhere. You've been successful to a large degree here. Let's put it in perspective, and you'll move on. It's not the end of the world. So be who you are. At least go down being true to yourself and what you believe in.